Good afternoon. My name's Anna Ford and I'm the program director here at New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program. And today we are going to give you a tour, a virtual tour of our rehab barn located at New Vocations at Mareworth Farm. And we're currently standing in the Williams barn. It's part of the Mareworth farm facility. And this is where, when we take horses in, they come to get rehabilitation. So just a little introduction for those of you that may be new to New Vocations for what we do. Our mission is to rehab, retrain, and rehome retired racehorses. We take in both thoroughbred and standardbreds. Here in Lexington, we focus solely on the thoroughbreds. And if you've been following our series, we've started over a 5-part series. And last week we covered our history of New Vocations and our partnership here with Mareworth Farm and the Susan Donaldson Foundation. And this week we're starting to focus on, or we're going to focus on, the rehab side of our mission. And then next week will be the transitional training, the retraining, and then adoption, and then we'll have a special guest. So if you like what you're seeing, I hope that you'll tune in each week at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. So with further ado, we'll go ahead and come through the barn. And I wanted to introduce you to a couple of the horses that we have here, just to kind of give you an idea of what we get. And tell you a little bit about how important it is that the horses get the rehab time prior to them going over to the training side of the farm. So here at New Vocations, we do have facilities all over the country, and located, obviously, our main facilities here in Lexington, but we also have facilities in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and Louisiana. And all of our farms, when we get horses in, the first thing we typically do is we check them out, and if the horse needs some type of rehab from an injury, or if they just need time because they are tired or want to let down or have sore muscles, we focus on giving them that rehabilitation time prior to them entering into the training side of things. And so this is Mr. Buzzkill. I wanted to kind of use him as my prop. He thinks I'm tasty, I guess. He is a horse that came over all the way from California. His last race was at Santa Anita, just in, I think it was 522. So, 522. He had 15 starts, and he won $48,000. So Captain Buzzkill, who obviously has an amazing name, we were very excited to see what this guy would look like with that name. And he's been quite the character. But, you know, the number one reason why a horse retires to New Vocations is due to some type of injury. And that's just part of being an athlete and being a racehorse. And so the injuries that we see really vary. It could be as minor as they just have some muscle soreness that's, bothering them, so they're not running as fast, to they could have a fracture that needs repaired and surgery, and it could take months to heal before we start putting them into our transitional training. But it is something that, we see a whole range of different injuries, and they vary greatly. And the majority of the injuries that we see, we can give them the care and the time that they need so that they can go on to second careers, which is great. My husband was a professional athlete back in the day, and so talking to him about the type of injuries that he sustained in rugby, you can imagine there was all kinds of things that they had to deal with and maintain, and it's very similar in racing. These guys are athletes, and he's going to escape out. And they're going to have some things and issues and minor injuries come up because they're going so fast. So this is Mr. Captain Buzzkill. He's going to be over here for 30 to 60 days. He just had some minor soft tissue issues that he's not really that sore on, but we wanted to give him a little extra time and before we send him across the street over to our training farm. Thank you for biting. Okay, let's move on. He's not going to want me to close the door. He was out earlier today, Captain Buzzkill. He does morning turnout, and this was his buddy Night Code, who is an honor code. They were out early this morning before the flies and the heat set in, and now they are in and standing behind their fans. So we have a horse that just came in this month, or actually it's July, so last month, that I've asked Harmon, who is the manager over here, would you be able to get Sadie out for us? This filly has the most unusual markings that I've personally ever seen on a thoroughbred. And I thought, I've asked Harmon here, who manages the rehab barn, to bring her out. She's currently on rehab due to a fracture that she has on her right front. She can walk on it, so it's okay to bring her out of the stall. But she is on bed rest, as we say, on stall rest. And within the next couple of months, she'll be able to start going outside. But I wanted everyone to see. Let's turn her this way and stand her right in the middle and stop. So Erica's behind the camera. Erica, swing around to the front and focus here on these front legs. I have not seen markings quite like this. So this is Smiles from Sadie. The boys say hello, Sadie. This is Smiles from Sadie. She came to us through NYTHA's Take the Lead program. Her last race was up at Aqueduct, and she actually raced 17 times and earned over $120,000. And like I said, she did sustain a fracture to this leg, which is her most amazing marked leg, which you don't really see. If you come around the side, it wraps around. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be interested in her when she does officially go up for adoption, just because she's such a lovely marked mare. Her face is fully marked with a big blaze that goes under her chin and a little black mark that matches her foot there. And she's super sweet. Normally when a horse is on stall rest, which you can imagine, it's probably, if you've been a person like myself that's been on bed rest, you're not very happy camper when you're not allowed to move around. And she's been really, really sweet. Normally they won't stand still like this when they're on stall rest. But she's a perfect example of a horse that we'll get and give her as much time as she needs, the care that she needs. Harmon will take care of her during this time and gradually let her start going outside when the vet clears her. And then when she's good and sound, she'll come across the street and start doing our transitional training program. So watch for Sadie. Thank you, Harmon. This is her big outing for today. So I thought we'd walk outside and see some of the horses that are outside currently. So the schedule here at the rehab barn is the horses that we're kind of keeping an eye on, like Captain Buzzkill. They go out in the mornings in these little lots, and he'll eventually graduate into one of these larger lots. And then once we know that they're able to be outside for longer stretches of time and their injury that they're rehabbing from is staying sound and looks good, then we switch them, especially in the summer, to night turnout, so then they can be out longer and it's cooler and the bugs aren't as bad. So we have about 20 horses in the barn right now, and I'd say only about 6 of them are turned out during the day, and the rest are going out all night, or a handful like Sadie are on stall rest. So these two, and everyone loves a gray, or white in this case, these two are in that interim period where they're just going to be out all day, and then around 3 o'clock they're going to come in, get a bath, get their dinner, and then stay in for the rest of the night. And so I thought we'd focus on this gray guy here, Dancing in the Rain. For those of you who follow racing, his sire is Get Stormy, who is actually one of my favorite racehorses. I remember watching him as a 2-year-old break his maiden at Keeneland. He walked into the paddock and I was like, oh my gosh, he would make the most lovely show horse because he had 4 white socks and a huge, huge blaze. Anyhow, he now stands at set, and I believe this is probably his first crop. This is Dancing in the Rain. He's 6 years old. He last raced, it's actually 2 years, well, a year and a half ago. But he's got a really cool story. He actually raced on the flat at fairgrounds in Saratoga, and then he went on to be a steeplechaser as well. So he's already technically learned how to jump, and rather large jumps. And his owner, his last work noticed that, or his trainer noticed that he had a tendon that he had injured several years back, and his last work there was a little bit of filling, and so they had that checked out, and it looked like the tendon was starting to be a problem again. So they opted to just go ahead and retire him at 6 years old, which was the right thing to do. He's a lovely horse. He's sound. He's just getting a little extra time to make sure that that tendon's going to be good and healthy before we start him into transitional training. Harmon's named him the Rain Man. And although we're kind of standing up, he's about 17 hands. He's a pretty big boy, so he'll be one definitely to watch for. I believe Leandra, our trainer, mentioned he would be coming over fairly soon just to start doing a little activity, because he does like having a job. Yes, you're handsome, even when you're dirty. That's one thing about white horses. You see all the dirt and everything. He had a bath, Harmon said, yesterday, but you would never be able to tell. His buddy over here, the little chestnut, is Carson Can, and he's a 6-year-old. He last raced this year in February down at Fairgrounds. 28 starts, 109,000 in earnings, and he's a little sweaty right now. He's been recovering from, he's had some multiple little issues that he's been rehabbing. There goes our sound. Phone. But yeah, he's coming along. He's going to need a little bit more time, but he's getting some TLC right now, and he's pretty hot adjusting to this weather. But he'll be he's well on his way in his rehab and keeping Rain Man here company, which is good. And then if you pan down a little bit, you can see there's another darker gray down there and another bay. Just 2 other guys that are transitioning to eventually going to be on night turnout too. One thing I didn't mention early on is that this side of the farm is part of Mareworth Farm, and they free lease us this barn, which now, Erica, if you pan around, you can see how big the Williams barn is. It has 22 stalls. We use 19 to 20 of those at any given time. And part of our partnership with them is that they give us free use of that barn, as well as the 13 paddocks that are over here. And then there's this large field over here that has about 20 of their retired horses, permanently retired horses, that are hidden over the hill right now. But it's a really, really great part of the farm that we get to use as part of our relationship with them, that we're very, very fortunate and thankful for. These guys are going to play halter tag. Do we have any questions from anybody?
How does one apply to adopt?
Good question. So if you go on our website, it's newvocations.org, and you just click on adopt, it'll take you through the whole process. The first step is to fill out an application. And once that is processed, then you can look at any horses on our website. We have all those different facilities that I mentioned, and you can then reach out to those trainers to start talking about matching you with the right horse. But the best thing to do is go on our website at newvocations.org. That's good. Well, in closing, first of all, thank you for joining us on this virtual tour over here at our rehab barn, the Williams barn. Just a little reminder that we do this every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And if you're following Horse Country Tours, I believe Mill Ridge is having their virtual tour at 2 o'clock today. So you might swing over there. I believe they're doing mamas and babies or something to that extent. So if you want to see some mares and foals in a different perspective of the breeding and racing industry, that would be a good place to go. You can go to visithorsecountry.org to see more information there. And then there's several ways, if you're interested in getting involved in helping New Vocations and helping with our aftercare efforts. The easiest way that anybody that's watching can help is to follow us and like us on our social media platforms. We just joined TikTok for those of you that might be interested. I know my young daughter is. So we're there. We have Instagram, Twitter, and obviously Facebook. And anytime you can help share any of the things that we post on our social media, that helps get the word out about our program, the horses that we have available, even our live videos like today. Second, if you're interested in adopting, like the individual just asked, we would love to have you consider adopting a retired thoroughbred or standardbred from us, and you can go to our website for more information on that. And lastly, but not least, we can only do what we do through donations, through our donations and grants that we receive. And right now it's been a little tough with COVID. Our donations are down. And so if you're interested in contributing to our efforts, you can also do that on our website at newvocations.org and click on donate. So if there's no other questions,
Do you volunteer? Can you volunteer?
We do have some volunteer opportunities, which you can go through the contact information on our website to follow. Just ask about volunteering there, and we'll get it to the right facility based on where you're located, because each facility kind of deals with volunteers a little bit differently. That's it. Well, we thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you'll join us next week at 1 o'clock, where we'll be going through the transitional training process. And then we also have Monday through Saturday our daily meet and greets, where you get to meet horses that are available for adoption, and those are at noon.